Welcome back, all our 40k fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you the list that we take it on Lane in our next battle report. Yes, I'm playing demons. Khorne demons again. I'm playing the World Eaters, the Khorne Daemonkin detachment. And yes, I just ran this list. And normally we like to try to switch it up unless we're prepping for a tournament. But there's a couple reasons I wanted to run this again. One, to show everyone I wasn't making things up. I am painting these guys. And I have some work done. I got some paint on some stuff, which is a big improvement from where we've been for the last few months. Because I've been doing a lot of other commission works. If those of you who have come over to the channel don't know, I do have 5 kids, of which 2 are twins that are not even a year old yet. So yes, there are some distractions from painting. Building models is easy. But once you mix up the paint, you get the water right, the consistency's right, and that paintbrush touches the model, that's when they go, oh, I'm sorry, you were sitting. No, it's time for me to eat, or I've pooped, or whichever option either one wants to pick. And since there's 2 of them, they just rock, paper, scissors and decide which one's turn it is. That's a conclusion I've come up to. But excuses aside, we got some paint on these guys. And speaking of painting, another reason we're doing this is because I made a little deal with Lane. Lane and I have a little gamble and a wager in this game. So Lane is sick and tired of my Necron character list. So for this, we have made a bet. If the Daemonkin is triumphant, Lane is going to help me get some video-ready Jackals. So he's going to help me get the Jackals ready so I can focus on the other demon aspects and the Khorne and the World Eater aspects of the army. If I lose, if the Daemonkin does not prevail, then Lane will never have to face my all-character Necron list again on the channel. So we have a little bit of a wager going on here. So that's why we're running this today. And then there's one last big reason. After the GT, mind you, Lane and I were both exhausted. And jumping over to an army I hadn't played in a while, there was a couple of mistakes that I made. Kind of crucial mistakes, crucial play mistakes that I didn't feel I gave the Daemonkin justice. So I wanted to give it a second try. It's one of those things where it was like, no, that just didn't feel right. I can accept the loss, but I could have played that a lot better in a lot of ways, and been able to make things into a better position. Number one, completely forgot about the fact that Skarbrand has a flamethrower. Skarbrand had a flamethrower attack. Number two, I was trying way too many 8 and 9 inch charges, which granted, stick them and it changes the complete overshadow of the game. But I didn't. And realistically, that's kind of a real result on some of those things. You know, I'm looking at a much lower percentage, as some people had said, to make these charges. And I probably shouldn't have been doing that, realistically. So there's a couple things I want to try differently there, and a couple different tweaks that I've made to the list that I think will help in the overall scheme of things until I can, work on some other World Eater stuff and move on to other things. I do want to try out Goretrack again. I think that's a lot of fun. That's a really cool list. I really want to mess with that some more. But Daemonkin is what I want to work on, getting some of this stuff painted first, especially because Skarbrand is cool. And yeah, so enough said there. Let's jump over in the list real quick, look at some of the tweaks and designs that I've made, some of the changes, and go from there. All right, here it is. Here's the list. And here we go. Just shy of 2,000 points by 10 points. I think we're coming in at 1990. This is the Khorne Daemonkin detachment. If you haven't watched before, you haven't seen the Khorne Daemonkin, basically this is the detachment that allows World Eaters to pair with demons inside their army. This one's actually pretty cool. I know some of the other demon detachments are not, people are not that fond of them, or don't seem that strong. This one's seems very strong. We got the Blood Tithe, where as we eliminate units, we gain points that we can spend for permanent upgrades, such as 5 Feel No Pain versus Mortal Wounds and Psychic Attacks, a 4-up Invulnerable save for these demon units, or Lance for the demon units. Now, there are strats that allow me to carry this over to some of the World Eater units, but for the most part, this is about the demons and what we get running with the demons, and everything else is kind of a bonus to help us win the game. Now, I'm going to say demons. This is not demon keyword. This is actual demon data sheets, which are actually classified as Blood Legion. So if you hear me say demons, because there is the, what are they called? The 8-bound, which have the demon keyword. they do not count. So it's only Blood Legion units, which are the demons, which we'll talk about those. We'll jump into those first and talk about them and what they're bringing to the table. And then we'll go over into some of the World Leader units that we're going to be bringing today. All right, so first of all, here we go. Let's start off with, I have gotten, like I said, I've gotten some work done. Here he is, Skarbrand. So Skarbrand, he is a big beat stick. 20 wounds, toughness 11, and this dude just smacks. Everything that you see on a Bloodthirster, he's just a little bit better. The biggest difference between him and a Bloodthirster, one, the Bloodthirster can take enhancements. He cannot. However, he has advance and charge, where the Bloodthirster does not. So there are some perks there alone, because the Bloodthirster and Skarbrand are equal in points until you take enhancements on the Bloodthirster, and then it becomes more expensive. So there are things in me that go, man, maybe take a Bloodthirster, maybe do the points, but because Skarbrand's cheaper, because Skarbrand doesn't bracket, actually, when he gets low, he gets angry and gets stronger and gets more attacks. And all in all, like the Bloodthirster, you can pick, when you start picking which weapons you have on him, he is not quite as damaging. While you could hit for D6 plus 2, Skarbrand just hits for flat 6 with more attacks. So I, like many others, lean towards Skarbrand right now as kind of like the true winner. It's just like a little bit easier. You don't have to risk it and go and roll a 1 and only do 3 damage. Kind of cool concept, though, that you can give him an enhancement in this detachment that would give him that +1 damage. So you could have flat 3 damage sweeps with a Bloodthirster, which is something kind of unique and nice. But I don't know, just overall, it still seemed like Skarbrand's better value. Now, I said I got some paint on these guys. For me, the way I do my red is when I get the red, the tone I like it, I water it down and I layer it 3 times and wait for it to dry. With Skarbrand, I'm only layering it 2 times before I move on, since he is a battered, abused, and bruised demon. Since he decided it was a good idea, since Zench convinced him that it was a good idea to go and attack Khorne himself. And by his wings, you can see how that worked out for him. Go ahead and read some of the stories on it. It's hilarious how basically Khorne screamed at him for like, I don't know, 6 days straight, I think it was. And that's what just shredded his wings and then dragged him across the coals and threw him into the mortal realm. So Khorne didn't play around. And Skarbrand is still very mean, very angry, and still trying to make good favor. So hopefully we can do the same with him with this next list. Moving on, we also have gotten some paint on our Bloodc Crushers. Again, I do, for my reds, it's like 3 layers of red, all watered down so I can get the nice layered effect. These guys, I got the red on them. I started to do some orange on their hair, and I washed them with a crimson red. So I do need to go back in. I want to go back in with a little more red highlights on them just to make some of the red pop now that I've done a little bit of a wash. And then I'm going to start working on the Juggernauts. So the Bloodc Crushers are going to be led, as you can see here, by the Chaos Lord on a Juggernaut. The enhancement that he has allows him to lead the squad. It also gives him Deep Strike so that he can Deep Strike with them as well. In the past, I've kept these guys on the board, and I'm still not 100% sure if I want to keep them on board or take them away. A lot of people are recommending that this is my rapid ingress unit. This is the target to use. And I might give it a try. Skarbrand does have a flamethrower, which would be nice for Overwatch. And Skarbrand is, a big scary thing that people might not want to exactly get in the backfield for. So he could just zone out by sheer power and just go, okay, you want a Deep Strike in here? Fine. Can you destroy him? Because if not, he probably can destroy you. So some good things there, some good thinking points with it. But the Bloodc Crushers can be absolutely insane. Their impact damage is huge, and they're very fast at that 10-inch move. Then the +1 charge because of the instrument. So I might Deep Strike them, depending on what. I got to see Lane's list first, but these guys actually might see Deep Strike this time and rapid ingress them. That's what a lot of recommendations people had. So I'm going to try it. I think ultimately it's a matchup to matchup basis, but I should try to go with these guys in Rapid Ingress so I can get a good feel for it and start feeling out when do these guys go into reserve, when does Scarbrand go in reserve and Rapid Ingress instead. All right, moving on, but staying with demons, we got 2 10-man squads of Bloodletters. Bloodletters, there's one reason you take them, and that is the summoning strat. Now, the strat did get nerfed in the last data sheets, data slates, meaning that you cannot drop these guys within 6 inches of your opponents. They have to be just outside of 6 inches when you use the strat to summon them in when a unit is destroyed. Not a big deal. I was worried we were going to be stuck to a specific phase or timing that we could use it for. So still being able to use it in response to any unit being destroyed is huge, and that 6 inches is not so bad. They have an instrument, so they get +1 to their charge, so these guys will still be looking at a 5-inch charge off that ability, so not a big deal. All in all, they're not the best, but they're not the worst. They're only 2 attacks apiece, but their attacks are strength 5, AP 1 with a flat 2 damage. So they can still pick up and shred through Marines pretty easily. Having a 5-up invuln makes them a little bit more durable. So all in all, these guys are pretty good for what they do. They're battle line, but they're only OC 1. Probably if they were OC 2, then they would be way too broken, especially considering things like shoot at your unit, destroy your unit, and then, oh, I shot your unit on an objective, haha, you don't hold it. 1 CP, haha, yes I do, I put this unit back on there. Something World Eaters like to do a lot. There's a lot of strats across different detachments that when you destroy a unit on an objective marker, you can still control it with different abilities. So this is another one because you can just put a unit back onto it, and 5-up invuln could eventually be a 4-up if we use the Blood Tithe for it. So pretty good. Not too bad for a basic cheap infantry. Much, much better than what we were looking at before, trying to ally these guys in previously. So I'm very happy to see that. And last of the demon units, the true Blood Legion demon units, we have a 5-man squad of the Khorne Flesh Hounds. The leader has a flamer. For the most part, these guys are meant to just up-down. Last game, I was in a position where there really wasn't a good place to up-down them. They were in a great position already. And so they actually charged in with my Demon Prince. So the volume of attacks out of these guys is pretty good. Definitely eats up on Marines pretty nicely. But all in all, they're not going to be that impressive in combat. A good amount of attacks could clear some chaff pretty well. But their biggest ability is the fact that they're 75 points for an up-down unit to continue your secondary game and just help with the secondaries. And that's realistically what they're in here for. Zone out, pick up, and drop down. All right, so now we're done with all the demons. Let's go over into the World Eater units. First and foremost, they're coming back 3 Forge Fiends. Forge Fiends, they're amazing. 18 inches, closest target, full rerolls to hit in the shooting. 18 inches then triggers their rapid fire. They have 3 ectoplasmic cannons on each of these guys. That's D3 shots apiece for 3 D3 shots per Forge Fiend. Forge Fiend. And then +1 for the rapid fire. So they'll get +3 at 18 for that full rerolls because they're 36-inch range. They only hit on 4s, which is that's a World Eater thing. Our ballistic skill got worse, but we got rapid fire on like everything. And they have blast. So these guys can put down a ton of anti-infantry shots. Flat 3 damage is still nice when needing to go into vehicles. They are strength 10, so not quite what you want going into knights, but still strong all the same. Like little armigers will not like these guys, but some of the bigger knights are going to be like, all right, you're wounding me on 5, so not as big of a deal, but the damage that goes through is flat 3, so that is pretty nice. I liked putting 1 in strategic reserve last time, being able to bring it in and just go, here, I'm within 18. This is my closest target. And getting maximum damage out of them was really good. So I'll probably end up doing that again. That might be something that I kind of stick with moving forward. So yeah, 3 Forge Fiends. Next up, we have our Demon Prince. He's also going to be coming with an enhancement to give him +1 strength, +1 attack, and +1 damage. So he absolutely smacks. Being able to go flat, I believe he's flat 3 damage on the sweeps. Let me look at that real quick. But he just absolutely smacks. Base 16 attacks with his sweeps, going up to 17 attacks. And then he does have just the straight flat smack hit ya for 6 attacks, which ends up going up to 7. And I think that one's the one that's 3 and goes up to 4, and then his sweeps are 1 and go up to 2. Yeah, that's what it is. His flat damage attacks are his flat straight attacks are 8 attacks that go up to 9. Strength 8, AP2, 3 damage, which would go up to 9 attacks, Strength 9, AP2, 4 damage. Where the sweeps are 17 attacks, going up to Strength 7 and flat 2 damage. So he has a lot of versatility on him. T10, 10 wounds, 2 up, 4 up. The 2 up is nice. All around, he's just a monster. Devastating wounds on the charge. The 12-inch aura for CP reduction on strats used on units within 12 inches. And he has lone op when he's within 3 inches of a World Eater's infantry unit. Very solid, very strong, very big target on his head. 2 up, 4 up, 10 wounds. He is not invincible, but it's still going to, if your opponent is not prepared to take him on, he can start really whooping and walloping into some units real quickly. Moving on, we have 1 squad of spawn. We dropped 1 out of the previous list. We had 2 units of the spawn. Now we dropped down to 1. Very cheap, great scout unit. I like these guys a lot. They definitely help to keep people from, to keep things, especially with drop pods now. I don't know how popular they're going to be since they just released, but drop pods can drop on 1, so having these units are able to zone out and prevent someone from getting cheeky and dropping something within 12 inches of my Demon Prince and getting through the lone op is very nice. And not to mention they get up there and your opponent has to think, okay, if I shoot these things down, a squad of Bloodletters can just go in their place, and that could help me in positioning for board control. And they're pretty durable in their own right. These guys have advance and charge, one of the very few units that do in the World Eaters Codex, and a good amount of attacks. I mean, I like them. They're great. Now, I did drop 1 because I wanted to finagle some points, and now here's where we go into some of the changes. So with this, I dropped the 10 Berserkers and 1 squad of spawn for, first of all, 3 8-bound. So 8-bound also scout. So that fills that role that the spawn were doing for me to be able to scout out there. But these guys will obviously try and scout into a safer position. They are World Eaters infantry, not beast. So they will be able to help with my Demon Prince and keeping his lone op going while moving up the field. And these guys just shred in combat. Strength 8, AP2, flat 2 damage, 5 attacks apiece. These guys hit very, very hard. They're mostly made for infantry, which is fine, but they still hit really hard. I liked the Berserkers a lot. I really do. And I'm not 100% sure that I'm sold on this route because you cut the durability in half. What we used to have, we had 20 wounds, 3 up save, no invuln. Now we're looking at 9 wounds, but we went from toughness 4 up to toughness 6, and we're getting ourselves a 5 up invuln for the deal out of that trade. There is also a strat out of this whole detachment that I think it's only demons that I can put a model back, so we won't talk about that. And they're not the ones that get targeted. I was just thinking that they could, but I don't think they can at all in any way, shape, or form. I think it's only the demon units that can get the resurrected guy. But all in all, it's more of a blow if one of these guys go down. But even one of them is still a very strong lethal threat. And I want to give these guys a try. I really haven't used 8-bound at all yet. I think they're great. 150 points for 3 of them versus 180 points for 10 Berserkers. We'll see how I feel at the end of it all. These guys have a 10-inch move. Berserkers were only an 8. But Berserker's Blood Surge, so it'll make sure opponent kind of wonder if they want to shoot at them at all or not. So we'll see how it falls in comparison at the end. And because I reduced the bodies, one of the big changes that I made was to give me some more board coverage, give me some more objective play, and potentially give me a little bit more protection to my Demon Prince. And although I only have 1 unit here, trust me when I say we're bringing 3 10-man squads of Jackals. So we have 30 Jackals. Each are going to be a 10-man, so they're going to function independently. So that when we do decide to move the Flesh Hounds, move all the units, and start leaving some of our backfield open for potentially up-down units late in the game, now these guys can kind of hold that out. These guys also give me sticky objectives. So once I tag an objective, they can move on to something else. This can be convenient with my home field objectives, so I don't really have to stay on it. That can be something really nice. But also, these guys can move up into terrain, complete actions for me, help me with different things like recover assets, sabotage, as well as being an infantry unit to help keep my Demon Prince lone op. That's a big thing with this army, is that to keep the Demon Prince lone op, we have to have infantry nearby. Now, granted, these guys are paper. They are absolutely paper, and they will get scattered to the wind if a gust of wind comes to them. They're gone. But they're a 7-inch move, plus their advance. I can get them in, tuck them into terrain, and use them just to hide there. And again, get that lone up on my Demon Prince, so my Demon Prince can be the one to actually go. If you move in this area, I will charge you, and I will hit you really, really hard. So my concept with these guys is not necessarily what they do, but the fact that they're going to be able to keep the Demon Prince as a threat and extend his threat range. And that's it. That is the list. So that's it. That's what we're running with. As I mentioned, this is about... There is a lot more on the line than just a game. If I win, Lane is going to take my Jackals home with him, and he's going to get them video ready. There will be some more detail and painting work that I'll have to do to them, but he's going to help me get them accelerated so they look good on camera. But if I fail, then it's on me. And the Necron character list, Lane will never have to face it again. So that would be one that we'd have to... I don't want to do that, because you never know. I might decide to bring that thing back, especially since we got the teaser of this Kill Team set, getting a new character in here and getting some new Necrons. I'm looking forward to that. But all in all, I want to give this thing a second try and a better shot when I'm not as tired coming off of a GT and immediately running back to work. And just World Eaters are a completely different wheelhouse than what I typically run. You know, Lane is very much a Marine player. From Death Guard into Death Watch, similar styles with the deep striking and just destroying things, as well as trying to kind of hold midfield. Like, his play style with those two armies are very similar. For me, this army is a lot different. Now, granted, it plays to my forte of being tricks and playing all the tricky lists, because this army has a lot of little fun tricks that I can do, especially with the Bloodletter summoning strat. But all in all, it's a combat army, which is something I don't play very often, that different aspects of it. So there's different things that I need to think about with this list and with this army than I had to with Necrons. Necron characters, obviously, I mean, there's no... You can't say, oh, well, you're playing Necron characters, so why don't you play this army? It's exactly the same. There's nothing. There's nothing like that. So it is getting switched back over into a different aspect of it, and also looking at some of these things differently, because while World Eaters is a very combat-focused army, there are some critical things that we do lack, and it's not bad. Well, I mean, we'd love to have them, but it's the things that take them, that's like, okay, a good army versus an overpowered army. Not really a lot of access to different rerolls. So we need to make sure that when we hit hard and take things out, because like, we don't have rerolls to hit in combat. That's another reason for the 8-bound for some of my other infantry to be able to do that. But we don't really have the rerolls. So we do have some way to get wounds off of twin linked, but again, that goes over just to World Eater units for a stratagem. But there's not really a lot there, you know. Different things we could possibly tech into, but still not as good. The Forge Fiends are our biggest reroll. Those are our reliable source. So those are a lot of weight behind those guys, a lot of stress on their backs, that they need to make sure that when they are moving out there and targeting different infantry units, they have to do damage. So when they stop doing damage, that's when we start getting really hurt. Like, they don't need to fully clear units, but they need to put in a position where then when I do charge, if their dice goes south and the Bloodc Crushers dice go south, their two bads combine for a good. 40k is the one time that two Rogs can make a right if those two Rogs are going into the same target. So we'll see how that works out. I'm definitely a man. We're coming for the skulls. We're going for the skulls so that Lane has to paint my Jackals. That's the goal here. All right, guys. As always, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again soon.